You're listening to Moonhawk Studios Presents. So welcome to a new episode of Moonhawk Studios Presents. So I'm your, guest host.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Well, you're
host.
normally the co-host. It's just today there's no co.
Yeah. I'm your host, Adam, this week. And you might be wondering why that might be. So the long and short of it is that Mac is busy entertaining guests this week. And
He's I guess you could say on vacation.
Yeah, and he said he wasn't going to be here in time to host the program, which is why I'm hosting. And indeed, we're broadcasting this live on the Fragments of Silicon channel. It will be uploaded to the Moonhawk Studios Presents channel later on. We also had a guest this week, and obligations are obligations.
Not that we definitely want to be here, to be clarified.
Yeah.
Mac is actually probably the one of us who wouldn't have been. I think all of the rest of us have watched some of Saberspark stuff. So
yeah.
Also of note, Varius isn't here. Granted, we don't usually know what she's doing week to week. Really, only Mac has direct communication with her. We're presuming that she's not showing up this week because Mac's busy. But joining us this week, Kevin's here.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Galax is here.
I am here.
And Petty Fan's here.
Been beaten back into the utility closet. Woo!
I suppose that's a way of putting your week. But we'll get to the new. We're switching up the segments. We'll get to the interview first, and then we'll get to the news, and then we'll do the entertainment news. See, that's the fun thing about when you're put in charge. You get to dictate these kind of rules. Anyway, so
that's the way the kids will play.
Yeah. Anyway, it's also because Saberspark doesn't have all the time in the world, and I want to get as much time with him as possible. Indeed, our guest is Saberspark.
Hello.
Yes. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. How's everybody in the call doing?
We're surviving. We're doing our thing. We're hanging in there.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any rumors that our bodies are slowly decaying to the power of entropy, while not untrue, are not important at this time.
I feel that mood way too hard.
I can relate to it a lot more now. But okay. So how we're going to get started here is, first of all, I want you to introduce yourself to our audience who might not be familiar with your work. What is it you do exactly on YouTube?
I have a channel where I talk about animation. It takes the forms of video essays of companies and studios and occasionally individuals and how they have fallen from grace with my What's Ruining series. I do video essays that are kind of outside of that format where it's just a history lesson or a bit of a deep dive, though more often than not, I'm just going into the realm of obscure, bizarre animation, whether it takes the shame. I guess there is some shame to it, isn't there? Whether it takes the shape of really terrible animated content, dark, potentially lewd, not safe for work, just the...
Stuff that just has weird origins.
Weird origins. It takes many shapes and forms. I've realized that my entire calling is talking about animation that doesn't really fit within the, I guess, cookie cutter cookie cutter, I guess. There's a word that comes after that, but it escapes me. But like I talking about Pixar and DreamWorks and whatnot, it's not really my thing, except if it's like topical review of a movie that came out. For me, it's more like, well, let's talk about like this very obscure adult animated show from Ralph Bakshi in the 1980s or 90s or whatever. That's what folks are showing up for, and I enjoy it. It's fun. It's weird and bizarre, and I like it.
Okay.
Always
And-
nice to learn something.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun for myself, and of course, if the viewers are enjoying it, then something's working.
Yeah. And how did you start along this path? How did you decide animation was your calling, as it were, or is that just something you fell into in terms of making content for YouTube?
A bit of both. I wouldn't say necessarily a calling. That's giving me way too much credit. I think still is. Where I just grew up with cartoons and I loved them. I always had an affinity for watching just animated content. I remember growing up thinking like, well, that's going to suck when I have to be an adult and not watch this anymore. And that never happened. So on the contrary,
It turns out there isn't actually anyone who like knocks on your door when you turn 20x and says, "Hey, we're going to need you to turn over all of your kids' stuff."
Right. Give me your keys. I remember I've always been nerdy. Always been just I like to partake in, like, I'm not like a programmer. I'm not even an artist. I'm just an appreciator and enjoyer of things. And it was around, I'd say, because I launched my YouTube channel back in like 2007. I say launch. I made an account so I can like comment on videos and make playlists back in the day. And then I started making like YouTube poop videos because I thought that was really funny. I was like good at it. Nobody was, I don't think, at that time. Then
I mean, really good as a...
It's relative, I suppose.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
especially for that.
There's classics, and I mean, it's just, it all scales over time, but like someone has to start somewhere. Like the entire, I guess, like what you consider the standard of what's funny at the time. I mean, back then, like if you could even draw and upload an animation, you're already in the big leagues. It was just that like inaccessible at the time. So now it's completely different. Now there's programs. Now there's accessibility everywhere. It's oversaturation, if anything. But I got into the My Little Pony fandom. Pardon me. Of course, of all sentences to have to pull away and burp from, it had to be that one. But I joined the My Little Pony fandom in 2011, the very end of it. I made a video called Battle of the Brony. It was because around that time I was like, okay, like the internet's getting kind of neat with these memes, and I'm very infatuated by this. And I was in a class called The Study of Deviance in college, and one of our final projects for the semester is like just do a presentation about a deviant subculture. And I was like, hey, can I do one about bronies? And my teacher's like, sure. And I decided to make a video out of it with like Movie Maker and record my little Walmart microphone and somehow Frankenstein that together. And it was a big old video essay that did well in the class. And then I threw it up on YouTube for the hell of it. And then it did really well there. And I'm like, well, hold on, there might be something to this. And I think I would say that was the beginning of me making videos on YouTube, though it wouldn't be until around, I'd say, late 2015, where it actually became what I am today, which is like, okay, I did the pony stuff. Now I'm just going to do general animation stuff because that's fun. And I didn't do it with the effort of like, this will be my career, but more of a, I'll have fun with it. And it clicked. And I was like, okay, well, I guess momentum's momentum. I'll run with it. And I never looked back.
Well, I mean, sometimes that happens, I guess. Like,
They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, and this is a complete and utter lie. But it's still more fun if you can like have fun with what you're doing.
Oh, dude, there are moments where, because I was a copier salesman twice from like 2013 to 2015. I got fired both times. I was horrible at it. I sold a copier the last week of my job at the second copier company I was working at. And I remember being in traffic. I remember feeling just so aimless in all of it. I remember being yelled at by my bosses. I was a barista at Starbucks afterwards. Felt like that. I was like, well, what's the point? Like I did all the college stuff. What was the point? And I can't underline how lucky, absolutely lucky I was with what I do. But I mean, I agree that like it's all relative to your lifestyle, because there are days where I'm like, I'm a bit burnt out and it does feel like work, but I'm like, okay, like I just need to go back in time and live a week as a salesman for a copier company, and I would be like clicking my heels going back to YouTube being like, I don't fucking want to, or can I cuss by the way, or no? Whatever.
Go ahead. It's
yeah.
past the first 5 minutes, which Mac doesn't like, but honestly, the rest of us sometimes slip up on that anyway.
My mistake. But yeah, I was just saying, I guess there's a massive appreciation that every day I have to remind myself of how like truly blessed I am with what I do and how lucky I am as well.
No doubt, no doubt. Like, and how long did it take you to find your voice, as it were?
Do you mean my creative voice or my actual voice in my videos, or maybe there's some overlap between the two?
No, creative voice mainly. Like, deciding that weird and obscure animation was your particular forte, for example.
Yeah. So it was, I'd say, I started off with doing like video essay stuff in like 2016 with like why cartoons aren't just for kids, or I did a video called like Our Fandom's Bad. And at that time I'm just kind of tapping into geek culture in general, which was mostly animated stuff for me. Then I did a video called like what ruined Warcraft. It's funny to think that like one of my first what ruined videos was video game related, but then I shifted over to like what ruined Nickelodeon, what's ruining Cartoon Network, stuff like that. And I did more video essays like in that vein of like what's ruining blank. And then I realized after doing that for like I think half a year or so, I was like, oh, there's a shelf life to this series, and I'm gonna burn through it too quickly. Like I'm moving too quickly through these topics. I need some more evergreen material. And I was like, well, I like watching weird, bizarre animated content. I just do, whether it be like just bizarre but good, or bad and bizarre, or whatever, all kind of combinations. And I was like, well, I guess I'll review bad movies because those are always fun to laugh at. And I did what the hell is, I think it was Leo the Lion. And folks really liked that. I'm like, cool, got myself a new series. I'll just keep reviewing bad, weird stuff or obscure animated content. And that became another arrow in my quiver that has helped tremendously ever since.
That's actually one of the questions I've wanted to ask someone who has a big, like, long ongoing thing, where it's like, okay, so you have a big ongoing, you have an ongoing thing where you're like covering a topic and things. So as you gain more experience and go on to it, do you ever regret having done such and such big famous examples when you were starting early, and then you feel like, man, if I was doing that now, I could have done it so much better?
I mean, everyone has their regrets. Everyone has.
I don't mean it as a criticism or anything. I'm just,
no.
Like, if you're doing a disaster podcast and you've already done like the Titanic and the whatever by like episode 5, and then you're on episode 50, and you're like, man.
Well, I mean, that's just part of the creative process, which also the creative process shares there's two sides of the coin, the creative side and the financial aspect of it. And you don't ever want to feel like a soulless like business person, but that is true. You have to take it into account. Is it going to cost too much? Is it going to drive away viewers? I hear an echo, by the way, coming through a little bit, and I unfortunately have something where it can speech block me.
We will try to identify who that is. Don't worry, it bothers me too, and I usually try not to say anything because a lot of other people don't. Adam, I think it might be coming from you.
All right, let me check the user settings. Sometimes that means my microphone's tuned up a little too high on. Yeah. All right.
I'm not trying to like call it out on some technical level. I promise. I have ADD, and part of that is whenever I hear an echo back of my own voice, it speech jams me. Like it completely shuts me down. So
understandable.
I apologize.
So how am I coming in now?
Test. I think you're good. All right. I apologize. All right. Continuing.
No, fine.
I guess. Looking back, it's like, well, forever, not forever, but whenever you look back, of course, there'll always be something you could have done better or improved on, because you have like now information and know how things play out. All you can do is hedge your bets, and for me, it was like, well, I need broader appeal that is not limited too much. Like I need like there needs to be multiple heads of the Hydra here for me to use. I can't be just a one-trick pony. And even then, like there's a certain point where you kind of get, I mean, like the golden like accomplishment you can ever attain as an online creator or content creator or whatever is that people are hooked on you, the personality, the creator. That's the golden ticket right there, because then no matter what you do, folks will come back for more. Like for Markiplier, folks don't care if he does games necessarily, they just show up for him. People show up to me for obscure animated content, and that's something I will probably never be able to truly shift.
Well, the fact that you diversified a little bit has also, or changed your thing, probably helps with that some, and also just wait, I had a second half of that crap. Yeah, I really didn't mean it as like a, oh man, you must have some regrets, even just
I didn't think it
the way that you do it is
it pays to be nimble, be ready to pivot. I've seen many creators not be able to make it, or YouTube will give you a death sentence. I have a friend. I'll use this channel as an example. Not that I'm having a go at him, but this is just the truth. His name is Black Griffin, and he has over 4 million subscribers. And one of his videos back in 2017 was actually in the top 10 most viewed videos on YouTube for that year. So he was a massive, massive hit. And then his channel flatlined after a while. And I mean, could it have been prevented? Potentially. YouTube, what they'll do sometimes is they'll just focus in on what exactly you're doing to that effect and then say, just give us that. There's no wiggle room. And for my friends, he did not want to continue to be an impressionist with just voices. He wanted to do other things because he's just he's an insanely talented individual. The guy was on America's Got Talent like a few weeks ago. Like he's that successful.
But if YouTube won't show your videos to the right people,
well, YouTube put the death sentence on him. Like they killed off his channel, and that just goes to show you that there's a certain level where, like, okay, that you can be that size, you can be that popular, and there's still no safety nets. You can still collapse. And I keep that in mind every single day, knowing that I'm not invincible. I have to keep adapting, keep moving.
Yeah. Oh, and the other half was also, if you didn't do some of the like things that got you the attention early, then you might not have that attention. So it had to be worth it.
I suppose so. I mean, I feel like also my timing's pretty great. If I had to start nowadays, I probably wouldn't make it. I wouldn't be nearly as successful as I am now.
I have definitely heard before. Best way to get famous on YouTube is to start 10 years ago or whatever.
Right. Competition is fierce. That's just the way it is. It just keeps because now it's like, well, it's very accessible and there's very talented people entering the fray. And a lot of folks who have a lot to offer. And now it's like it's more accessible now, but the competition's a lot more fierce. You have to do something different or better or both. And that's a lot more difficult than it was for me at the time.
Right. And it's probably why it's a good thing you found a niche. Like, anyway, so getting into like the videos themselves, how do you go about picking a topic for a video? Like, where do you look to find some of these obscure gems? Maybe ?
I early on, I mean, just kind of things I bumped into back in the day on my own. Like there's some things where I watch where I'm like, I don't think any of my friends ever watched this. I think it was just me like watching like The Apprentice of the Goblin or whatever, which I never reviewed, but I that at least gives me an idea that I know obscure animation that most mainstream folks don't know. And I just kind of start rolling with that. And I mean, Google, YouTube, it's the just continues to give gifts. It just gives you a bunch of ammo where it's like, well, if you like this weird thing, here's 100 more and 100 more after that. And then the biggest thing of all that like pays dividends is that I have a lot of wonderful viewers who just suggest so much. It's almost like I don't even have to try anymore. People just give me ideas, and I'm like, cool, thank you. So it's led to that moment.
Has the process changed any over the years?
Yeah, it's a lot more involved. I used to be doing it all on my own with writing, recording, editing. And it was a certain workflow where it'd be back to back, where from like Monday to Saturday, I would upload a video. That was the entire work process. I would Sunday like kind of off and then start it all over again. And now I have editors. Now I have artists. I have folks who even help me research and write. I'm still really busy because it's like, okay, the content back then wasn't as high quality or as punched up. Now it is, but now it's a lot more involved, more cooks in the kitchen, but it's welcomed. But yeah, it's changed a bit as far as its legitimacy and involvement.
And now how many people are working on a video these days? Sounds like there's quite a few staffers.
So the video description is kind of a blanket of like a lot of folks who contributed in the past, and they do it in a passive way. But actively, I'd say maybe two to four. Is kind of the range. I mean, I'm working on a Mario video right now, a little quick vid, just a reaction, and I'm editing it myself. I kind of came up with most of the thoughts myself. I had a friend. I'm like, hey, what do you think of the trailer? We kind of combined notes, and then other moments where like I got a big video on the horizon. It's got like two editors and like two researchers, and then I have a friend who does art and thumbnails for the videos, and it kind of it ranges. It depends on, it's a case by case kind of thing.
Right. So it depends on the video.
Correct.
Like, I suppose moving away from generalities, what's been a favorite project that you've done in recent times?
Favorite project? I mean, probably the most
Like, is there a particular series or movie or what have you that you weren't expecting much from, but turned out to be really good?
I've been having a lot more fun just streaming things on my Twitch and then incorporating into my videos. I did that kind of with Alpha and Omega. That was a lot of fun to look into that. Again, I llove Chaos. Chaos is a lot of fun. VeggieTales video was probably one of my favorites. Period. That was a blast. Felt amazing. The Bravest Warriors video I liked a lot because it was kind of a return to form I needed. And I don't know, it's still an evolving thing, but the VeggieTales video is probably like my magnum opus so far. And even then, that's not saying too much. I've seen other channels put out a lot better content, so it gets me excited to, like, I'm not invincible, and I'm not a god of a creator by any means, but it makes me hungry for still trying. I mean, the fact that this relic can even still keep going in this current landscape of YouTube makes me feel like I'm doing something right, I guess.
Okay. And do you just make videos on cartoons, or do you these days, or do you still do videos on, like, well, for a good example, HBO Max and what's going on there?
I did a HBO Max video. I didn't do that great. I mean, I don't feel like I have to pick a particular category. I'm just kind of like open-minded to see what falls in my lap. Where it's like, Cartoon Network, News Today. Could there be a video about that? And I was so gung-ho for it earlier today, but then I was reading other updates from folks who work in the industry who are like, it's not nearly as bad as what folks are making that to be. And I'm like, well, I might have to backpedal now on doing that video. But cartoons, movies, shorts, all kinds of things. I like to think a big part of my I guess appeal is how I can approach a number of topics without it feeling insincere. At least I hope so.
Well, I mean, have you ever gotten feedback to that effect? Like, have you ever done a video where people thought that you were inauthentic?
It's hard to say because like I don't really read my comments.
I think your stuff always sounds pretty authentic to me.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. My comments, and it's not I don't read comments. Period. It's just that my YouTube comments are mostly spam bots now. And if
So
I
aren't everyone's. Those
Yeah.
and robots pretending to be you to try to get people to sign up for a prize.
apparently YouTube's trying to solve that with this new handle thing they want to roll out, but we'll see. I'll hold my
Air
breath.
quotes on crying.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, these things might just adapt to that too. But I I look at the like and dislike bar. That's a good indicator. I look at tweets. I feel like people who go outside of YouTube to hit me up, whether it be positive or negative, gives me a vow of confidence that they aren't just shitting on me, but actually have something to say. Because I mean, people can shit on me. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not one of those folks where I'm like, oh, haters. It's just like I can tell the difference when someone is being like a jerk, and I'm fine with that versus someone giving me constructive feedback. But the biggest one of all will always be views. I mean, the YouTube metrics, the analytics, that kind of just gives me an idea of what's going on with engagement. And the HBO Max video did not do so hot. That's fine. Makes me feel like I did something wrong. It's either the thumbnail, the title, the timing, the video itself. It could be a combination. But the video right afterwards was this Dr. Livesey or Livesey or whatever. I can't even say his name right at the moment. A video that I did in like one day. I did that one day and I was like, oh, let's just get this out. Who cares? And then it got 1 million views. So, no one knows nothing. Don't know anything. I get lucky.
I mean, that really is. I mean, that's been the YouTube formula for a good long while now. Just roll the dice and see what hits 7.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Hail Mary.
Anyway, so like let's talk about your latest video as of time of recording. My Little Goat.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
Once again, how do you like is this something you discovered or is this like something one of your staffers discovered?
I saw a tweet that someone suggested it to me, and because animated shorts are I guess a sector of animation I don't really pay too much attention to, but after watching My Little Goat, I went on like an animated short like spree, and I'm like, good God, there's a lot of really great content. Just they kind of encompass a realm of animation where it has a lot more creative freedom to do things that I feel like would not happen on a larger scale for a film or a series on a show or whatever. So that definitely caught my eye. And also like stop motion in general. I've been just really excited about that genre of animation in particular this year because it's been so good to us with like Windle and Wild coming up here soon and Del Toro's Pinocchio and whatnot. But I was just like, well, My Little Goat. All right, let's take a look. And I watched it with my buddy Tom, and the entire, I mean, I won't get into the gritty of it, but with what happened in that short, it made my jaw drop. And I was like, oh my God. So that I kind of go off of that. If someone, to answer your question, yes, someone suggested to me on Twitter, but I also use my own reactions to, like, if I feel good about something, I'm like, wow, that was a very genuine reaction I had. I roll with that energy. I feel like if I can feel that, then maybe my viewers will too. And that's how these things typically start.
Okay. And like, what's the process of writing a script for videos such as this?
Starts with research, and of course, watching. And then it's funny because this is one of the very few things I actually like retained from high school. I had an English teacher who was fantastic. And I'm sure I'm probably giving a very not technical, accurate description of how this process should work, but it's my own bastard version. So whatever, if it works, it works. So I watch the content, I watch the content, of course, and then I gauge my reaction. If I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it, let's go for it. I'll start researching it. I'll do a rough outline. Ask myself, why is this important? Why should people care? What's my thesis? What's the point? And recently my buddy Tom, who works with me on the channel with writing and research, he said like, well, a big part of a video, I guess it depends on the nature of the video. Because if it's like a quick review of like a Minions film, who cares? But if it's something where it's like, okay, well, what's the point? As in, like, what's the goal of the video? What's the stakes? What's the struggle? And that format doesn't always apply to every single video, but those are important questions to ask because you're asking yourself why even make this video? What's the point? And in this evolving landscape of YouTube, of social media in general, you have to up your game. You can't grow stagnant or you'll get left behind. And for me, I'm like, well, okay, like I have to get out of my comfort zone and ask myself, why should people care? Why should they care? Why should I care either? And for Milo Goat, it was like, well, this is very dark. And it's addressing a very like difficult topic matter. And I feel like it did it so in a very tasteful way. It was nuanced. And I'm like, that's worthy of discussion. I think we can do this. We can talk about this and give it attention and talk about a type of the short that was done visually to a fantastic degree. And it's just its story, its characters, everything, its themes, its symbolism, just wonderful. I'm like, that's worthy of sharing. So after, of course, coming to terms of why a video should be made, move on to writing, kind of refine that, record it, pass off the recordings to my editors, and they put the video together and boom, done.
Okay. And let me see here. So I know like not every video you've ever handled has been safe for work, to say the least.
To say the least.
In fact,
especially if you ask YouTube.
Yeah, like I remember there were like you were having a real problem with one set of videos. Do you still do not safe for work content, or has that been kind of dropped because of the YouTube bots?
I'm curious what you were referring to with my one set of videos.
I don't remember exactly. Like,
it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Actually, I think it was like the mobile ads or something.
I don't know if they got uppity about that one. I can't recall, but I mean, it happens. And I do get the occasional slap on the wrist from YouTube. I'm scrubbing through my studio right now to see what the last one was. There was one that was okay. There we go. What the hell is Ebichu? That was like back in March, and they hit that one up, and I was like, that's kind of weird. I thought it was very benign, and then, it was lewd in what it alluded to, but like I never put anything explicit in these videos, so it's kind of a crapshoot, and I feel like YouTube has chilled out as of late. But yeah, I mean they can get sassy and it's weird because like I understand the nature of the thumbnails of videos and the lewd stuff because it's like it's clickbaity, right? It's like not really. I make sure with everything I ever talk to in a title or a thumbnail, it is in the video. I try to at least make sure that I have some kind of backbone. But I also like talking about adult stuff. I think adult animation is amazing. I mean, hold on, it can be. I think it's worthy of discussion, and I would like to think that YouTube can allow this if I do it the right way, but it's always a crapshoot. It can blow up in my face and potentially have a whiplash with punishment to the channel.
And sometimes, quite manifestly, YouTube doesn't know what it's doing. So,
nah, they can be very dense.
Now, when you say adult animation, are you talking about adult animation or like Family Guy or something along those lines?
I mean, as far as adult animation, I think I reviewed like 2 or 3 X-rated things with like Fritz the Cat, and then God, what was the other one? It was like back in 2019 I reviewed something that was like this like fairy tale pornographic animated film. But then there's adult stuff where it's like adult themes and situations, and it's not porn. Rarely is it porn, rarely. And even if it, I do tread that path, I have to be very careful about it and wear it on my sleeves. And even if I'm being very jokey about it and satirical, YouTube can still punish me for it.
Yeah, you don't want to mention something that they'll take as inappropriate for some inexplicable reason.
Almighty YouTube.
Indeed. Like, so what do you have upcoming on your YouTube channel?
Currently, I have a bunch of furry stuff I want to review in November, which is like, of course. But I have a plushie here that's got a little first son version of my avatar that is going to go live at the end of the month, and I figured, screw it, let's do like a month of furry stuff. Though I like to, I know it's an entire other thing, but the entire month I'm actually going to have, I'm taking this conversation in a direction where it's going to be looking at a really like bizarre trilogy of bad animated films called Unstable Fables. Then I want to check out something called Bird Boy, which is a very dark, and I think using the term furry might be, I take my liberties with that, where it's like, yeah, like a Bugs Bunny, it's a furry, and it's like, well, sure, I guess maybe.
Yeah, there's kind of a weird term because I think most people would agree that not everything. When most people say furry, they're not talking about literally everything that has anthropomorphic animals in it, because that's a lot of things.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's basically what it means. So
right, it's the thing. It's like such a loose term, and I guess depends on the individual, the character in question, whatever. But I mean, I like to think I can keep it light and fun, and I do want to do a video at the end of the month to wrap it up, where I just talk about why anthrop characters are so fantastic. I love them. I can say that with certainty. Folks are, do you furry? And I'm like, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I do love anthrop characters, which for some folks are like, that's a furry. And I'm like, okay, then sure. But that's on the horizon for content. I'm excited. There's a North Korean cartoon with a bunch of furry characters, and North Korean cartoons are always interesting to me, because it's like, even saying North Korean cartoons is like, what? Get this video.
What media is allowed to be produced in a heavily
In
repressive state?
In the Hermit Kingdom.
Right. The thing in the Hermit Kingdom, furry content still, exists. Is, there you go. Yeah, that's I got that on the horizon.
Okay. Any sort of more mainstream animated content you're looking forward to?
I mean, I'll be talking about like the topical stuff that comes out. I'm gonna do a video about gosh, the Del Toro's Pinocchio is gonna be on the radar here soon. So, I mean, I typically don't do too much mainstream stuff myself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or what about like more obscure streaming fare? Like you did a video on Bee and Puppy Cat recently.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very interesting video in particular with how it evolved. And a bit of a headache actually in hindsight, but I don't know. I don't know if I can really say off the top of my head of like, yeah, that's I'm ADD, so I can be very impulsive, very reactionary, where it's like I'm making a list of 20 items, for the 5th time in a day, and I'm like, cool, there it is, it's perfect. The schedule's, oh, never mind, hold on, something just came out, change it all. So I don't typically have the greatest of foresight. I try to, but I'm also like constantly ready to pivot, which my team hates me for. But I guess that's just the way it is for me.
I mean, have you ever scrapped a project because of that?
Oh yes, plenty of times. I've got like probably like 15 projects that have been scrapped or sidelined.
Yeah. I suppose that's just the way of your business.
Yep, nature of the beast.
Okay. I noticed you also have a channel called Saberspark 64. Is that still active?
Currently on a hiatus.
Okay. Right, I think I've run through my gamut of questions. What about the rest of you guys?
I think I've mostly piped in when I had something.
I think we're all good.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Cool.
All right, Saber, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us here tonight.
Of course.
It was certainly wonderful hearing about your processes and how you create the videos that we enjoy so much.
Thank
And
you.
maybe we'll have you back on the future, back in the future, and hopefully Mac and Varius will be here next time.
Yeah, feel free to ping me. I appreciate you all having me. Thanks for the questions. Thank you for
Mhm.
your time, and I will see you all next time.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. It was nice speaking with you.
Likewise. Take care.
Get back.
All right.
All right.
All right. So yeah, welcome to the middle part, which is the news. I guess I'll go first.
In
Like-
the beginning. Wait, no, hold on.
Given that we haven't broadcast in a few weeks, do have some medical updates to unleash, I suppose. Like, well, I mean, the good news is I saw my GCP last week, my primary care doctor, and I've lost 20 pounds. I'm now 206. The blood sugars are seemingly getting controlled. And I'm taking well to the medication. And I have my next set of labs in November. Get the results of that on November 15th. I'm pretty much expecting it to be much lower than it was last time, if only because last time it was like 10.3, which is which my doctor keeps saying is quite frankly horrible. But I've been measuring my blood sugar, and it's like anywhere in the range is like the mid 80s to mid 110s when resting. I only check twice a day. That's what was recommended at this point. And my doctor thinks I have a real chance at getting my blood sugar down to 5.6%. For those who know, that is like regular blood sugar levels. That would mean my type 2 diabetes is in remission. It's not a cure. It's not reversed. Okay, let me eliminate that distinction. There's no cure for type 2 diabetes, but you can get the symptoms under control by getting off medication. That being said, I got some bad news yesterday. I suspected as much because of a lot of the sensations going on in my feet. But it turns out I have what's called peripheral neuropathy. For those who might not be familiar with the medical term, that is nerve damage associated with many things, but in this case, it's diabetic peripheral neuropathy. So, I have a bit of the pins and needles, some pain. Parts of my toe have gone numb. Like
All that fun stuff.
Yeah. And he said it was probably because my diabetes was raging on for a long time, undiagnosed. And also, much like the diabetes itself, there is no actual cure for peripheral neuropathy. It's another treating and slowing it down deal. And also taking care, he didn't recommend or prescribe any medication. He gave it on a scale of 1 to 10, a 2. Which is good, I guess, for these things. It's just, I have to keep my feet clean, moisturized, wear socks, especially the diabetic socks, that kind of thing. Maybe eventually, diabetic shoes is kind of up in the air because my PCP apparently doesn't believe in that. But it's more like, he doesn't want me to come back in like 3 months or anything like that, or didn't need to clip my toenails, anything like that. Maybe eventually, But he did say if there's any kind of swelling or redness or anything that's going on with with my feet, go and see them, because the thing I want to avoid is stuff like diabetic foot ulcers and other such wounds that wouldn't heal right, because those can get infected. And keep in mind, a subset here is poor circulation, so wounds on my body heal at a slower rate, especially on the limbs. Like, but I've been told repeatedly that it'd take a lot for me to lose a foot at this point. So it's another thing I have to watch and keep under control. But I'm thankful for the outpouring of friends and family who I've talked to this about, as well as my therapist, who helped me through some of the anxiety and stress I'm going through. Because I'm not doing this alone. Like, I've got an entire support network across a bunch of fields. My mom's helping me. Like, the crew here is helping me when they can, especially Petty Fan, since he's now a fellow kindred spirit in chronic disorders. Like, more on that in a bit. And, just, I'm very thankful. I hesitate to use the word blessed, but I suppose I am blessed with a lot of people who care and have been giving their outpourings and insights and helping me navigate. Does help that I basically got a team of doctors now that are helping me navigate diabetes in one way or another. Some I've seen, some I have yet to see. Hopefully I don't end up paralyzed or with a foot drop or whatever. I'm trying to, everyone's been impressed with how much I've seized the situation and reversed things, and I've got a lot of good prognosis going on right now. Hopefully something else isn't found, like a chronic kidney disorder or fatty liver, but even if it is, what else can I do but roll ahead and try to stem the tide? Sorry for getting a bit personal here, but these are kind of my chronicles here, because this thing going on in my life is still type 2 diabetes. And keeping them up to date is of paramount importance. So, apologies if I ever get a bit melancholy or personal about it. It's just, it's a big chunk of life right now. Right. So that's my news for the week. In keeping with tradition, Kevin, what do you got cooking?
Well, as is per usual, most of the weeks, nothing really much other than concessions and greeter at the AMC. We're about to enter a pretty busy period starting this weekend with that last Halloween movie, or is it the last? Who knows? But we're about to enter a pretty busy period with that, and other than that, there's nothing really going on around here. So next,
You're up.
Who?
Petty, it's your go.
All right. Well, I've started physical therapy, which, oh god, that sucks. Part of the problem is because of my cerebral palsy. I keep having muscle spasms that don't want to let my leg muscles disengage. So it gets extremely painful. I see my neurologist next month, and we're going to see about upping the Botox injections, see if that helps give me some relief. And I guess like the biggest thing that happened this week, two, I guess, fairly big things happened. Over the weekend, I learned that my paternal grandmother has stage 4 colon cancer.
Hmm.
I mean, I'd be more upset with her if she was much of a part of my life, but like she basically disowned me at 16. So,
There you go.
and she also never really liked me anyway because I was named after her ex-husband.
Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, I suppose that would be unpleasant, but it sounds a little bit petty.
Wink, wink,
Not
nod,
even intended, although I realized it as I was saying it.
nod.
So yeah, it's more of just kind of that's unfortunate. And let the doctor know that colon cancer runs in the family. And speaking of, I guess, gastrointestinal doctor, Monday I had an appointment to see him, and I was having some pretty bad intestinal problems. And he said if it gets worse, go to the ER. Well, I ended up going to the ER. Spent most of Monday there, and the best they can tell me is they think I have an ulcer. So that's fun. I'm on a different antacid type medication called Pepsid. So also apparently some of the tests they did in the ER showed I may have a fatty liver. So I have a liver scan next week to kind of confer and or make sure I don't have any extreme problems like cirrhosis or anything like that. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And then in January I have a upper endoscopy where they're going to tube down the throat into the stomach and see if they can find the ulcer if it's still there. Because with as far as it is, it's possible it could heal up from the medication and not be a problem. Or if it is a problem, see if there's something they can do to treat it. So yeah, that's fun. Air quotes on the fun there. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on, even though that is a whole lot, but I guess that's it from me. Is Adam still here?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Gaulitz, it's your go.
Well, thankfully, I don't have any major disasters here.
My meat suit's broken.
I picked up the 2 new Digimon starter decks came out, or got to the store today, and they confirmed when the pre-release for the set that's supposed to be approximately alongside them in, which is next Tuesday, so looking forward to that. Not too much else. Relevant to this show, the Macross Eternal Love song on Sundays has been going smoothly, although last time we got hit with some surprise. You're later in the game, so you get enemy reinforcements when you think you're getting near the end of the battle, which made it take longer than we thought, but it's been going fairly smoothly. We haven't hit any real roadblocks. Other than that, I've mostly been playing Splatoon 3 because it's fun and it has a lot of incentives to play regularly.
Okay. And anything else?
I think that is all I have.
All right. Well, no Macrovarius to close out the new segment this week. So That means we move on to entertainment news. And
So where do we start?
Well, I mean, I suppose we should start with another round of fucking Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah,
Greg-
they going crazy over there.
So what is this about? They tried to get rid of most of their animation studio, or most of the Cartoon Network studios, and then got a polite reminder that there are contractual reasons why they can't do that, or something like that.
That was about the writers and directors workshop, which is something that they've had for 40 years. That is involving the rest of the was involved Warner Brothers Television and the film division and so on and so forth. They wanted to shut that down. However, the Directors Guild of America gave them a phone call and said, hey guys, we have this thing called a collective bargaining agreement, and this workshop is contractually obligated. So you're not going to be able to shut this down. Sorry. And if you do try to shut this down, we're going to go ham on your ass. So they decided to move it to another department and keep it rolling. And they're after they're saying, "Well, this was always the plan." Nah, not really. No. And it's a white guy telling a white guy first ordering a black woman to shut down a diversity program, then a white guy telling another black woman to lie about that said shutdown.
Oof.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Classy, as they say.
Yes. So that's the deal with that. Now, the other big thing is involving the animation department. The production and development teams at both Cartoon Network Studios and Warner Brothers Animation are merging, and a lot of people are suggesting that is the death of Cartoon Network Studios and any original content, and that it's going to be Warner Brothers Animation dominated. There really isn't any legit proof of that statement, despite the fact that it's been picked up by certain news or certain media outlets. And a lot of people have been running with that belief and that assumption. Sam Register is still in the building. It doesn't really look like anybody big got fired over there. So, until there's actual legit proof to that statement, I would not be making that statement.
It's probably not good for it, but it's not dead yet or anything.
It's no, it's not killing it. It's not whatever. We don't know what the actual outcome is going to be here. We're gonna have to wait and see. And the people that are trying to suggest that Cartoon Network is dead or stuff like that are really doing a disservice to the people who actually still have a job there right now. Because there are people that are still trying to, deal with this chaos and disorder that's going on and trying to do something positive out of it. And they see all of these stories about how the place that they work with is dead or dying. And, well, what do you think? How do you think they feel about that?
I'll take not good for 1,500.
No. So it's like everybody should, at least for this, in this particular situation here, to just calm down, take a deep breath, and let whatever happen. Now, if it does turn out that this basically leads to a deterioration of the content creation over there, then yeah, we'll note that. But we don't have a firm, definitive proof that just because they made these moves, all of a sudden Cartoon Network Studios is dead.
Yeah.
So
what I saw laid out, what's going to happen is Cartoon Network's going to handle original productions.
Yes.
And
WBA is doing IP content. And
yes,
the thing about that is that that's apparently always been the situation. Like they're like the two are already aligned in other departments. This is just them consolidating in terms of the development and production departments. Like in terms of business, sales and other things, they're already aligned. This is just a further alignment. At least that's the way I saw it, because like I was expecting like a complete and total bloodbath, and this isn't necessarily that. Yet I should stress.
Yeah,
'Cause
is it
there's
still like it's still definitely something to like keep your eye on because
right, like
it's not like they haven't been known to make no good decisions lately.
Yeah, this is a company where there's always something new every day. There's always something new every day.
You're not wrong. Yeah, Hanna-Barbera Europe is unaffected by all this.
Yeah, they're right over here on the side.
Yeah. Probably by the fact that they are in Europe.
Yeah, or at the
Yeah.
very least based in Europe.
So, yeah, the problem was this news was reported by goddamn Cartoon Brew.
Well, actually, no. The original stories were done by the trade press, who did not specifically have any, biased notes about it. They just simply reported the situation. Now, it was interpreted as Cartoon Network is dying by Cartoon Brew and apparently tonight The Verge, but more specifically, Cartoon Brew started it. Yes.
Well, it's like, okay, Cartoon Brew should not be used as a source.
Yes. Yes.
They're bad at this. Let's just say they're bad at this.
Yep. They have an agenda.
At the best time, this is and like I said, I saw the Cartoon Brew link sourced more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So of course that created a fucking tire fire.
Yeah, I mean, everybody bought into it. Everybody bought into it, unfortunately.
Well,
Or at least not everybody, but a lot of people did.
Confirmation bias.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I'm somebody who's not a fan of this company by any means, but it's like, wait a minute, hold on.
Look, Warner Brothers Discovery makes it easy to believe the worst about them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right.
So,
like, especially right now.
Yep. But that's the actual situation as we understand it right now.
Yeah, it's basically a situation of you got to let this process play out, however painful or slow it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with that, as understood as it's going to be right now, moving on to the Super Mario Brothers movie. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
hot take, it doesn't look terrible.
I'm like,
well, it doesn't look terrible, and it's 90. I guess I'd say 95% good. The 5% is Chris Pratt.
Yeah. I don't even think Chris Pratt sounded. There's nothing about looks. Also, there were like 2 lines in that trailer. He is doing a New York accent of some kind. We'll see how good or bad that is.
Yep, and yes, I know it's probably wrong to focus specifically on 2 lines, but
is he as good as Jack Black? No.
It sounded like to me like the problem is that the first line wasn't even an accent. It sounded like his normal voice, and then with that second line, that end line, it sounded like he was forcing that accent.
Yeah, I'm like it sounded like he was trying to be Captain Lou.
Yes. Yes.
And clearly not pulling it off.
Yeah, it sounded like he was forcing that accent.
Well, it's like
because Captain Lou is clearly the idea for this character here, especially including the look.
Indeed.
I think it looked mostly like Mario.
Yeah. Mario, but specifically the Captain Lou early 90s Deke Mario. So.
Yeah, potentially. And yeah, it's like the consensus was Jack Black was impressive and Chris Pratt was bit shit. Unfortunately, here's the thing. I don't think Chris Pratt escapes out of the shit zone, and
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter how well or poorly he does.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Because look, expectations have been against them from the announcement.
Yeah, and this to me just feels like, it really only needed to at least look good in order to make it bankable, and it looks good, and Jack Black is going to sell the crap out of this thing, so it's going to make bank no matter what.
I mean, also regarding the whole thing with the lead-in, yes, Chris Pratt referenced remembering stomping Koopas in literally the one game in which you cannot do that. You have to hit them from below and then kick them. In the first one, but I'm willing to believe that was just memories getting mixed up. But also his delivery of that line was not.
Here's the thing: he gets
credible.
off on a technicality because there was an arcade version of Super Mario Bros. It was Super Versus. Like
true, but other technicality. He said the first.
Right. I'm just noting that there was a Super Mario Brothers put in the arcade. I played it.
I mean, the thing has been observed by other people. The main thing I actually wanted to get is I'm willing to believe it was mostly just him mixing up memories or something, or remembering the wrong order of games or something. It was just a comment on the enthusiasm of the delivery was a little bit forced, weird. Whereas Jack Black clearly is very, very much more enthusiastic, just sort of generally as a person, I think.
Well, it's also Jack Black knows how to do voice acting. Chris Pratt is clearly learning.
I've actually been regarding all the people who were saying they should have been. I have learned more about Charles Martinet's voice acting experience, and I'm thinking more that he probably could have done it, but I very much doubt that they'll do any fixing at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, like the trailer overall was decent. Like, like visually it looked impressive. Comedy wise, it looked like, I don't know, pick a
predictable.
Western. Yeah. Like pick a Western CG movie and you've probably seen the comedy here, which is about what I would expect from Illumination. Because look, at the end of the day, it's still Illumination. They're not exactly known for ambition. I'm like, they're not Pixar or even like Sony animated studios or anything like that.
Code I thought was fine though. Not great, but
yeah, they have a creative ceiling. I think it's safe to say. But, once again, they're neither. It's not necessarily good or bad. They're just widget makers. That's what they're renowned for. Anyway, pressing ahead. The Owl House returns this Saturday.
Oh, that's soon.
Yeah, it's the first of the three specials.
Yes.
Do we know what the distance between those is going to be at all, or?
Like I
I
believe
think
the
the
next.
second one comes out in January, and I saw that
Okay, so
the third one
months.
comes out March, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And it had a sneak preview at the New York Comic Con.
Yes.
Of which all the footage got leaked out.
Of course it did.
Granted, some of that stuff was just not going to stay clamped down because I'm like, Dana Terrace has taken the Rebecca Sugar route.
And good for her.
I'm like, if you don't know what that means, it's like, in simple terms, they're making the Owl House gay.
It's like it's like we're going out. If we're going out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going out loud, we're going out swinging, and well, after this, I'm done with Disney. So screw it.
Well, I mean, I will note Disney apparently isn't stopping what they're doing,
No,
but
they probably don't. They probably don't have a lot of leverage to do that at this point.
okay, here's the thing. When people say, what are they going to do? I'm like, the answer is, okay, they can cut out that scene. I'm like,
They could do that. They also can cancel you faster.
yeah, it's like they can throw your episode into the fucking dustbin. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Like,
although Disney isn't the one that does write-offs to throw into the abyss.
I'm not talking about I'm not talking about writing off the show. I'm talking about just never airing that episode.
Yeah, true. I mean,
Yeah.
It might not air in international markets, but I mean,
No,
in terms of like re-airing,
I mean, like at all. Like if they thought this was too controversial.
yeah.
Just always keep that in mind. Like I
Yeah.
know, look, I don't like to give credit to the mouse, but it's like, given what they've shown, like, and here's the thing, like, this is actual political stuff. This isn't just gay people or in this case bi people existing. This is actually Lutz and Amnesty putting out a video having Lutz declare that she's bi and the bisexual flag shows up. That's these are overtly political symbols.
Yes, it is.
Like, and like the first image of season 3 was apparently Lutz is wearing a bi pride flag in her new hat.
That's always been approximately her color scheme, but yeah.
There's a difference between having a background color scheme.
Yeah, I know. It's literally the actual symbol.
Yeah, I'm like, if you've got the color scheme in a pin, that means it's a political symbol. Because pride is more overtly political than just being gay. There's a whole history to this whole thing that we don't have the time or the wherewithal to get into. But the fact that I do have to commend Disney for going along with that. From what I heard, yes, it was a tooth and nail fight, but ultimately the creators won this one. So, good on that.
Yeah, may have a lot to do with all of the nonsense that happened a couple of months ago, but
look, yeah, you can't look. There's no undoing the shortened season.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone wishes that could change, and clearly, the montage stuff is the stuff that was going to be the individual episodes for season 3. But
You got to make do with what you got and fight for all you can.
Yep.
That's all you can do.
At least they got 6 episodes, basically. I know it's 3 specials, but they are 44 minutes long.
So that's basically like 2 episodes each, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, once again, I know people want to dwell on the negative, but
we're going to dwell on the positive, at least with these there, and take what we can get.
Yeah. And let me see here. Continuing on with New York Comic Con, Avatar: The Last Airbender showed up. Like,
I know they announced the solo 2 new solo comics.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the comics pipeline as it is in November. Patterns in Time is releasing, which is it's an anthology series. The next standalone comic is going to be one of Azula. Like
Before or after the crazy?
We don't know.
Was there a before?
Technically, birth.
Yeah.
I have to assume, considering this is going to be a solo run, I have to assume it's after.
Fair.
I have to assume.
I'm like they were kind of teasing around that.
It's either that or it's Azula's childhood that you probably don't want to see.
Which I don't think anybody wants to see.
No, I believe this is adult Azula.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it wouldn't be able in anything else.
I mean, she was not very old during the series.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's going to be maybe her redemption story. That's what they were teasing at the panel.
I mean, I mean, it's going to be.
I think there is a degree to which she can be redeemed, and a degree to which that would be a really tough sell.
Yeah, this is going to be something that's going to split the fandom. I think.
There's
going to be a lot of people. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to be happy about this, but there are a lot of people that are going to go,
well,
okay, really?
Keep in mind, that hasn't been confirmed. It's just been
right. But we're just going out speculation here.
Yeah. So it's an argument that's already split the fan base.
Yes, because this has been a concept that's been a debate since the last time she appeared in a comic series.
Yeah.
Because the thing about it is that some of us kind of expected that redemption thing to happen in that last series, and it didn't.
No.
So it's like, if you didn't do it then, why in the world are you doing it now?
Well, it's because Azula was just it was not that far from the actual where the series ended. This is many years later.
You know what? That would probably, I guess, that would explain it. So a couple.
And I think there's always room for a character who is villainous to, and I know Azula was at least vocally self-aware about being not exactly a good person, but to become more aware of that and feel like they need to not be as much.
And well, here's the thing, Azula, if they're gonna turn Azula, it can't be fast.
Yeah.
No Darth Vader here.
Yeah. It's not gonna be just like that. No, I don't think that's. I mean, you're gonna have a series for that. So, yeah, it can't just simply be, hey, I effed up. I screwed up. I killed a lot of people. I did all of this. Oh my God. I got to redeem myself. I don't think that that's going to be how it goes.
Yeah.
The specific example I'm having in my head is actually what they did with Char in Super Robot Wars 30. But I can't really describe that in a short amount of time. But suffice it to say, it's basically that he, after being a very terrible person for literally all of his life, was
something
affected
colony
by
drop.
something. Was affected by something that caused him to have self-reflection.
Yeah.
Realized he'd been being terrible, and basically decides that he wants to not be that person, and that everyone else who liked that person also needs to stop doing that, and that he's going to just try to
be a better person.
He's literally not trying to redeem himself, just to try to make the world a better place instead.
Right. It's basically, I was an asshole, I don't want other people to be assholes.
Uh-huh.
And the other comic that got announced is going to be, for some reason, a Mako standalone comic.
Sure, why
because
not?
there are people who liked him apparently.
I'm like,
I mean,
I'm just trying to figure out what they're going to actually do.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, his story was probably a little bit rushed to basically a brick wall. So maybe, I mean, there are probably ways you could find it. Maybe it's prequel before the series of Korra. Maybe it's stuff with Prince Wolf.
I'm not sure he was interesting then either.
No, well, no, but I mean, there are plenty of ways to go about it. I mean, basically, there's a lot of emptiness in the story, and when you have something like that, fill her up.
Mm-hmm.
Or they could just have him actually fight crime for once.
Maybe that's what they're gonna do.
Maybe if they're feeling bold, they'll have him actually be gay.
I mean, Prince Wu was right there.
That's more or less what I was getting at. Is that apparently there's a relatively popular fanship of him with
Wu, yeah,
Prince Wu. So
yeah, I mean, it's right there if you want it.
Or I should say, he would be bi because he was definitely interested in Korra, and Asami too.
Yeah, he would be bi, but still, it's it's right there. If you want it, you take it. People will go absolutely nuts over that. Have him fight crime and also be bi at the same exact time.
Huh.
Everybody.
I mean, I guess as much as you can do Mako.
As much as you can, yeah.
Look,
I always felt like, literally from the very beginning of the stories, is that the biggest problem with Mako is that his character principle basically seemed like you could fit in the short version was be hot and do sport. And while they came up with other parts of the do, and they gave him a bit of a background, I don't feel like they ever gave him too much deep.
Yeah.
Now, it was always Bolin who stuck out more on that end.
Yeah. And it is kind of surprising that he doesn't get the comic treatment, frankly, because of that.
Well, okay, so keep in mind that The Legend of Korra has a new trilogy coming.
Mm-hmm.
Mako's just the first one.
Yeah.
More comics. So it's a question mark, if who's if they're going to do 3 standalone Korra characters, it could be all of Team Avatar.
Yeah.
Also, I'm trying to think if this was confirmed, but I think that there was something about Asami's mother appearing in one of the comics. I'm not. It might be Patterns in Time.
Yeah.
Or it might be the Mako comic. I know I heard something about that. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's about it for entertainment news.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll conclude this episode of Moonhawk Studios Presents. Okay, I don't know Mac's schedule. So
You will presumably be streaming Overwatch at the normal times.
yeah.
I think on Thursdays he's trying to do a thing. Last I heard, we were still doing Macross on Sundays.
And I have to assume that at least he will be back this time next week, and we'll be back on our normal broadcasting position, which is of course on Mac's channel. So
yeah,
we apologize for not being more complete, but if you need more precise Mac Paladin information, you can follow him on his Twitter at Micaiah Paladin.
Yeah. Anyway, coming up on next week's episode, we'll be having Shank of Shank's Mods. He is a YouTube content creator dedicated to the creation of videos of modding game systems. Like two of his maybe not recent but more popular vids. Like he created the world's first, or one of the world's first portable Virtual Boys, like an actual portable Virtual Boy. None of that what Nintendo was trying to pass the thing off as.
Portable, as in you can actually it doesn't weigh too much to keep on your face, and doesn't require a stand.
Yeah, or Joy-Cons made out of a real GameCube controller. So, looking forward to that. And until next time, stay safe, everyone.